Ooh, wizard kitty.
And them's the first words. Hello!
Lizard kitty.
Very important first words.
Very important. Hi and welcome to VIA. It's Project VIA. It's the 13th one. We've done 12 of these. That's how numbers work.
Is that how numbers work?
Typically. Usually I
mean-
actually start these sorts of draw-throughs at part 0. So we have a stream where we're just sort of working stuff out. But I decided to call it part 1 for some reason, and that confused me.
Yeah.
It all depends on how you're doing your counting.
Because the first spin of the wheel was on part 2. So now I'm just all... it's just messing me up.
Oh yeah, that is weird. Why did you do it that way?
I don't know! Ask me from 13 weeks ago.
Well, I can't, so I'm asking you now.
Well, I don't know. Hi and welcome to Good Cats. Here is a good cat with a little backpack. This is the cat from Stray, I assume.
Yay.
Yee!
Yay.
Everybody watch Chip's stream of Stray. Ska. Scoot. Scowl. Scary. Scary
Every
gam.
game.
The spook. There's also some cool little cats down here. One of them's a cat, one of them's a mercat. But you can't guess which one.
I'm sorry.
And then we have Flower Cat. Looking good.
Mr. Tubbs.
Mr. Tubbs.
Is it on?
Bloomin' Mr. Tubbs. And then the cat summoning frost magic to cool down Chibi and anybody else who's hot.
Thank
Aw.
you, wizard cats.
Because of the return of the heat. Yeah. It's not as hot as it has
Part
been, but it's still...
2.
It's Heat 2. Can't think of a pun. Sequels. Nope,
I
I got
mean, the
nothing.
one I usually see with just we're making fun of things is the electric boogaloo.
Yeah, but I'm trying to work out how to fit fire into that. Apart from like an electric fire, but that doesn't really... It's a
Fire
scan.
boogaloo.
Welcome to Project Veer. Today we're going to be veering. By which I mean we're going to be chatting about characters for places, what we got. Yeah. So last time, we got characters. It's been a while, even though we've done it loads of times.
Even though we have arguably more characters than anything else.
Yeah. I may have misjudged the the wheel balance, but hey, too late now.
The thing to keep in mind if you ever use the wheel again.
Nah, we'll just do 16 symbols. That's the thing that this sort of series is lacking is having like a plot that we can just sort of mess around with as we go. But we're slowly constituting bits and pieces of a story.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
there's been a lot of side stories and like not plot devices.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess it's that kind of game as well. It's like it was specifying an adventure game, and they tend not to be sort of, tends to be more about the adventure rather than the actual sequence by sequence plot points.
Yeah, and there's plenty of games out there where it's just kind of like, right, I'm sure there's some plot going on here, but is anyone even paying attention to that?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes even the game creators aren't paying attention, and then you end up with the Zelda timeline.
Oh no.
I mean,
Adventure
to be fair, with a few exceptions, I don't think the Zelda games were really intended to be
No.
of the same universe so much as just like the same idea of a universe. So it's like we're using these same characters to tell these narratives, but there's they're only happening, quote unquote, in the same universe when we're directly saying that they do.
Mhm.
It's more of a like folktale-y type thing where it's like we're using themes that you're familiar with but stacking them in a different way. And then they decided to try and connect them all, and then it's like, right, this still doesn't work because you're adding these afterwards, and it's a mess.
Still doesn't work because it was never planned.
I will say this though, it's not the worst iteration of this I've seen. That still goes to DC superhero comics.
Oh, did they try and tie all those together at some point?
Yeah, but considering that you've got the same characters who've been existing for like 60 years, and it's like, okay, but we can't have Batman be a young playboy when one of his adoptive children is two of his adoptive children are now fully grown adults.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some wiggle room you can play with on account of the whole adopted children bit, but like, you know.
I like Batman Beyond.
Yes. That was good. And I will say there are some things where like chunks of it managed to keep some continuity of plot.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, continuity of plot doesn't always matter to me in these senses, as long as it's like continuity of character. Because boy howdy, there are some comics writers and movie writers who get a hold of a superhero character, and it's like, okay, but did you understand the point? Like everyone who decides to make yet another movie about grimdark, what if Superman was an asshole? And it's like, you have missed the point of Superman. Hello, Dark.
Thank you very much for subscribing with Prime. The Arcs Unrebel. Thank you, the Arcs.
Also,
Hello.
it's been 10 minutes and we've already gone off topic.
Yeah, I don't. Well, can we go off topic if we haven't really started?
I mean, technically we started. You did
I introduced. We haven't actually begun the first chapter. You know, we have a blurb. That's as far as we got. Got a preface. You're unsubbing. Oh no. I can. There is. Interestingly, the message of you subscribing does have a ban button next to it.
Why?
I don't know. You've subscribed. Ban you.
I mean, I guess you can. It makes sense for the stream owner to have power to ban mods, because just because you're a mod doesn't mean that you won't eventually do something dumb. But
I
yes,
know,
that is sort of fun.
It's just, hi, Oobs. Hello. How are you, Oobs? You wield the mod sword. Scary. Oh, haven't put music on. Oh, God. Adrian, I'm so sorry.
That's got
How
to be a
dare you
trip.
betray Adrian?
Adrian has served us very well for the last 3 years. It is you. It is Oobs. Oh, those bagpipes are always louder than I think they are. I do like how he puts the first song on the playlist as being a calibration song, by which you mean, you know, bagpipes front and center, so it won't get louder than this. But it might. Maybe more bagpipes.
Suddenly something very big.
Oh, I almost got an idea for a character, and then I realized it's just the Mad Hatter.
I mean, you can still do that. I'm not gonna stop you.
During the Patreon hangout this week, I basically drew Avonvale's equivalent of the Mad Hatter.
Ideas are subjective.
Yeah. You
So just make
look
Mad Hatter again.
It's
Look at an
reusable
adventure
items.
game. To show me an adventure game where all of the characters are 100% original. Mind if you join? Absolutely not. By which I mean yes. That's a weird way of... I absolutely don't mind. You can join if you want. It's...
I did not wait for the answer.
That is fair enough.
Good.
If the answer was that
Wait,
long and
wait.
rambling, I don't blame you.
My audio is double for some reason. I need to.
Oh dear. Discard. How's an oobs?
It's okay. I tried cleaning my apartment, but it's really, really hot.
Yes, I hear it's Europe's back in the oven.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
weren't done cooking yet, so
So,
Mother Nature put us back in the oven.
okay, I think it's fine. It should be fine.
So yeah, it's Via. We're here.
You
the
sure
pomfret-
are.
We are, yes. It comes to right up and Fallout to work on, so you're just gonna chill. Yeah, I will get back to your Fallout stuff in the week to come because
Did
it'll be
you, drop a link for the art, the drawing.
yes, it's in the Stream Shenanigans Discord
Oh,
thing, just above the reminder, the bot saying that I'm live.
Okay.
And there you can see the cat that is summoning cold magic to keep you all cool.
No.
Ah, I see somebody has joined.
A mystery.
That lizard has a very wide stance.
Yes.
What do people do? Oh, look at that. Look at our friend. Like, come at me. There you.
I mean, I approve. It's just fun.
Aww,
Dick.
they're amazing.
I've also got the life, death, and the orb.
Like death in the orb. That's like a TV show.
No.
Also got somebody enjoying some wine. Yeah, so we have characters.
Yeah.
Oh, I should show off things that have been done between streams. Where is the thing? There it is. And by things that have been done between streams, I mean the two things that Chibi drew. We have jellyfish. These are nice, lovely colorings of jellyfish that were drawn. I think these are the same ones that you drew on the stream before.
Yeah, kind of similar.
Only
at
now
least.
real pretty.
Mm.
Got some lovely colors.
Oh my god.
So yeah, the description here was there might be a side quest thing when you're in a dark part of the abyss and another NPC asks you to bring some light over for the jellies because they give off a glow, so they're kind of light sources as well as NPCs. And you have to travel to the jelly village. Village.
The village, yes.
Village. And then also a render of Kingpin Croak. Big old mafia frog.
Yes.
This is giving me a very specific vibe of a children's book that I have.
You had a children's book about the mafia?
So, mildly,
You're not that far off.
the Spider-Man animated movie where we've got the Kingpin who's just takes up the entire screen. His
Yeah.
body is so wide in the head.
A little bit the vibe that I had for that. Not completely, but like I wanted expecting Crow to be just massive because of that.
It's a good starting point for a character.
Just mass.
Lorge.
Lorge.
George and then George.
See okay. So you having said mass, that makes me think of like I was gonna say he's so dense, but is he? Is he dense, or is he very light?
I don't know how heavy frogs are.
Well, no. This is this character, right? Have they just like puffed themselves up? Are they mostly air? Could you like to kick them like a volleyball or like a beach ball?
I don't think you would be able to.
I mean, we'll ignore the mafia repercussions of doing that. Just
I mean, if we took mafia repercussions into account, you definitely wouldn't be able to. But either way, I don't think you would be able to.
Well, I couldn't figure out what sort of item that Life and Death are holding, so it's just been like, right, we're just gonna make this globe some sort of weird
The orb.
thematic.
we haven't had MacGuffin yet, have we?
No.
Maybe this is some sort of partial scene where you're helping Life and Death and fixing stuff.
Yeah, so I feel like we should
do not
probably
know that
explain some of the story that we've added to Life and Death to their creator.
Yes, bring before the jury. I mean, not at all dismiss any of it.
I also like how you consider yourself the jury and not the judge.
I mean, what
This
does
is-
the judge really do?
They've got a hammer.
I mean, to be fair, if there's a jury involved, the jury is the one who makes the decision. The judge is just the one who makes sure that everyone follows the rules.
I've seen enough of courts the last few months that I'm
sounds
familiar
ominous.
with how much a jury does and how much a judge does.
That's fair.
Although you can decide to have a judge ruling instead of a jury rule. Though that's not all cases. Of course, I'm most familiar with U.S. courts on account of the fact that's what I'm subject to, but my understanding is in situations where there is a jury, that's sort of the idea. The jury of the peers make the decision, the final decision, and the judge is the one who makes sure that everyone plays maybe not nice, but at least by the rules.
I'm still trying to figure out brushes.
Brushes is hard.
Yeah, limited in Aggie, but
But yeah, Oobs knows some of what's going on with Life and Death on account of the fact that I double-checked first before going, right, we're gonna make them the final the
but
quest line.
That was a while ago. I'm thinking there's probably been some developments.
Well, you can fight them if you decide to go down a route where you really screw things over.
yeah, so we basically came up with this idea of like pretty much every area has some stuff going on, and you can side with different people, which generally speaking is largely cosmetic. As like, does this place turn into ruin or does this place turn into ruin? But with the Life and Death there, that they're very much sort of the ones trying to fix the big problems, like the fact that people aren't living or dying as much as they should do, because power is being siphoned away from that. And generally speaking, they're the people who are supposed to be like your sort of big guardians, well, not guardians, guidance. They're the ones supposed to be sort of telling you what to do. But if you want to do the evil path or the chaotic path, I don't know, depends on your perspective, you may end up fighting them.
Yeah, so right now we've got paths where you help out the mortals doing their mortal thing in each area, and each of them involves some sort of trying to get power in some senses, in a literal sense. So we've got apparently the mafia is using blood pool soup stuff as essentially oil for new oil run engines and whatnot, probably without any understanding of what it actually is.
How do they get the blood though?
We explain blood dudes.
Yeah, okay. How do we explain that?
Might be an important thing to.
I mean, I know there's a connection with Chibi's caves. That I know.
Well, we start off there. The game sort of starts in the cave. The character wakes up. There's some, like, you hear some voices and things like that. I think a voice says something like, "Not yet, not now. You're not supposed to be here yet." And then you wake up not really knowing anything next to a pool of blood on the floor.
Yeah, okay.
But it turns out that pool of blood isn't blood. Well, it might be blood. It is blood, probably. It's weird blood.
More like viscous.
It's more like kind of afterlife soul honey.
Delicious.
But it's sort of essentially a connection between the real world and limbo. Is sort of, I think we explicitly using it. The one in the cave is how you would get to limbo. But there are also little pools that sort of crop up around the whole world. Presumably, as sort of like the afterlife breaking through. Reality's going a bit skew-if. But yeah, it's got life energy in it, and your character can just choose to drink it. Not really knowing what it is, or even if they do know what it is. I think the idea we had was that there was just if you go to it, there's a button that says inspect, and you press the button, and your character just immediately drinks it.
Yeah. That was the idea, yeah.
And
then your health bar or whatever goes up. So it's like, okay, yeah, sure. I guess we're drinking the floor soup.
We're drinking the red, irony viscous floor soup. Yum yum.
But yeah, so basically the idea is like each area has got various things going on, and you can technically get things for them from other areas to help them with their thing. But it doesn't really solve the like existential problem of what's going on there. But if all you're doing is just sort of helping out the mortals, fucking things up, life and death are just kind of like, okay, cool, that didn't work, let's make the next one. But there is sort of a like full-on chaos option where it's like, no, you know what you should be doing, and you're actively trying to like usurp life and death or something. Trying to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
And then in that round, it's like, right, boss fight.
And I did do a couple of doodles. I would like to do proper pictures of it, of the life and death boss fights. I like the idea that they would be different, they would be separate. And my original idea was that life would be sort of quite elegant and sort of slow and sweeping, and then death would be feral and fast and strange. And then I realized that it'd actually be the other way around, because death is patient and life is manic. Whether they're like that as like regular characters, I don't know, but if not, even better, because then that's what they're like when they snap.
Yeah, I like that.
Hello, little dragon.
We've got Chibi designed a couple of essentially gods of avarice of sorts, who have been kind of... The idea is that they're sort of the baseline, like, not baseline, the sort of catalyst for why things are going all funky by sort of whispering ideas into mortals' ears, and then the mortals just sort of get greedy and do stuff without really thinking about it. And that's part of what's causing all of the whatever.
I like how you said Chibi designed some like gods of avarice, and my brain went, what gods of avarice? Oh, the clowns.
I also went through that same process of I designed
Oh,
what? Why don't I remember this? I'm
Yeah,
sure I
Because
would
you
remember
designed them
designing-
explicitly so that they look like they are not actually something to worry about,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
was on purpose.
I know that, but just I genuinely didn't think of it, and I designed them.
So yeah, that's the thing. We're still there's a lot of there's a lot of kinks to work out and a lot of just ideas being thrown around without much sort of care as to how they fit together at the moment. But we're still messing around, still having fun.
Yeah.
And to aid us in that, we've got more characters to do. You watching a time lapse? Does that answer the question? Sorry, that's facetious. No, this is live drawings. Everybody's drawing on a canvas. Yeah, what do we got? We have Chonk Lizard and Dainty Human Friend. I say dainty, they may very well cause absolute havoc with that stick.
You don't know that.
We have this person who needs more wine.
Most definitely.
Ooh, it's not an orb anymore, it's a planet.
And also, there's a stick figure to scale.
Oh yeah. Wow, they are
Well,
big.
not quite to scale. Obviously, they're not on scale to the planet, but it's like I'm just imagining with the like through ending whatever scene. I don't think life and death have a set scale that there can be at. So like
think
during some conversations, you might be the same height as them, but then dramatic things happen, and it's like, oh my.
Yeah, I think we said that they vary in scale depending on circumstance. Because they're not, they're not really physical per se. Excuse my moving of a microphone. Yep, these are life and death. They are holding a planet. And also their cat, Mr. Tubbs.
I love the
Arf. That's a dog, not a cat.
I love a death cat. Or like a existential cat, I guess. With life
Mr.
and
Tubbs,
death.
the existential cat.
I mean, I guess an existential cat is Schrodinger's cat, right?
Is Mr.
Will
Tubbs
be
the Schrodinger's
Schrodinger's.
cat of this world?
Turns out, yeah. Are they alive or dead? Those concepts mean nothing to Schrodinger's cat. Then we have this cool person with a cool helmet.
Yeah.
Oobs has been here for 5 minutes and made something cooler than I've drawn in 13 weeks.
That's what Oops can do.
Oobs does this. You should not be
Been
surprised.
saving up for all the weeks I haven't drawn anything.
Oh,
Well,
your person has some mechanical limbs.
who, mine?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Chris's.
Oh,
I just realised I did them on the same side. I usually like to alternate. That's fine.
to make sure that I'm not in Chris's area.
Oh, we can move and rescale. It's fine. There's a whole canvas. We can fill it up however we want.
There's a whole like blank space right at the top, and I just went, no. I'll cram myself in this particular space.
Well, we
It's
never.
fine. It's fine.
I don't know if these two people are meant to be in the same image, Chibi, but the fact that she's blushing a little bit while looking at your wide stance lizard man.
Listen, don't judge her tastes. She's a lady of high standing.
Oh, Christ.
And standards involve a wide stack.
Why? Yes, exactly.
Oh, why is the zooming so stupid?
Zoom? What's going on with the zoom? Oh, they
I
moved.
can't zoom right. Is the problem.
I used the transferable skills from the program I have and just hold space and control and then drag. I don't know what that would be. Ordinarily. I don't know if you could hold Z maybe? Can you hold Z? Oh, holding Z works. That works as well.
Okay, I got there eventually.
That's alright. It's just doing things in different programs. It's a pain.
I'm drawing for the floating city, but I also have no idea if what the particular aesthetic.
Well, I guess there are
Everything.
several, really, because there's like several factions in the floating city.
Yeah,
One of them
is
is like
sure that I'm not clashing.
I mean, right now the main thing we have that's set, besides what Dark put at the start, is we have a final boss for one possible pathway that you could take when it comes to dealing with the flying city. I have named it the Mistake. It is basically the worst flesh Katamari.
yeah.
And basically one of the options for just sort of shutting down the entirety of the fighting going on in the city is to wait for it to come to a head, and then someone releases the Mistake, which is the result of someone who was trying to stay alive for too long and just sort of absorbing other people's life force via flesh.
As you do.
And now it's just a mad Katamari flesh golem thing, and you have to beat it up.
I think there are sky pirates as well.
I guess that's
I don't know
more-
whether they're part of whether they're a faction. I have to ask Dark.
I'm
But yeah,
trying to
Dark.
do, like, a fancy pirate-esque.
Dark deliberately left some of the things open so that we could sort of mess around. So
Yeah, I'm guessing I'm coming more from a like bounty hunter angle.
there was a thing I seem to recall about the floating city that they would occasionally do like raids on the land below. And I feel like that's not really a thing that the mutated people would do. It's probably requires a bit more organization. And
Yeah, probably. Can't really see Jonathan waiting.
I guess I should probably explain what I'm drawing. This is the guy with the moustache. End of sentence. No.
Your classic guy with mustache.
Guy with moustache. I got wizard nonsense, and in the previous stream I made somebody who wrangles doors. But that was too silly, so I thought I'd come up with something else. And what I came up with was the idea that the wizard tower itself should probably be like a level that you go through, as well as just being nonsense and place you teleport to with doors and all that sort of stuff. I like the idea of there being an actual level of going up it. But that means that there's probably monsters in there, and I was trying to reconcile the idea of there being monsters in there and wizards wanting to get on with whatever they're doing. And there's a couple of ways of doing that. Either, oh no, the tower has been overrun and you are here to help save the wizards. which is a bit, yeah. Or the wizards have worked out wards and shields and illusion spells and so on and so forth, so the monsters just leave them alone. So the monsters are just constantly running around the tower and they don't care. They've got other things to be worrying about. Unfortunately, everybody who's in the tower who isn't a wizard does have to worry about it, including you and including the janitor, and that's who I'm drawing.
I like how the janitor is, according to this, just a normal person and not another wizard who's just really interested in cleaning things.
Yep, he's got a job cleaning the tower, which is a pain in of itself, but also has to fight monsters in the process.
I love that you started this with a door wrangler being too silly.
Yep. What, a janitor that isn't magical, that needs to protect themselves from all the monsters in the tower? I think that's sensible. Also, I like the idea of whenever you go to places, there are characters that you can fight alongside, you know?
Yeah.
There's nothing substantial that changed at the wizard lore. To be really silly. Or kind of silly.
Yeah, the wizards are, it's called, you know, the everybody else's zone is usually named after the place, but obviously the wizards, we could have called it the Wizard Tower if we wanted to, but no, we called it Wizard Nonsense.
Yeah, that's on us.
And thus, the tone has been set.
I think every area is gonna need a cat.
Yes.
I'm going through my prompts that that I missed.
You don't have to do anything, don't worry.
No, but I really just haven't gotten around to it.
Well, should be easy to search. I believe I started each one of them with this week.
Yeah. I can find them. Fine.
So yeah, other than the fact that they're the janitor and they have to deal with monsters, I don't really have any other information about this character, so if anybody else has any ideas.
I'm struggling to just make any character, so
That's fair.
no.
I, for some reason, decided to draw Fame and Fortune on like the smallest scale possible, and I regret it.
Janitor gets to keep any loot they find. I feel like the janitor probably, you know, the wizards lose things all the time. They're not going to miss stuff, you know? Perks of the job.
Oh yeah, there is no lost and found in that building.
Fame and fortune. Which also explains why you're allowed to just take stuff that you find in the tower. Like any good adventurer in an adventure game. You don't ask to whom things belong.
Yeah, just take it and stick it in your pocket.
There are no belongings in the wizard tower. Or that wizards lose things too often.
I mean, there's probably an enemy called the Belonging.
Probably, yeah.
Sounds vaguely wizardy.
I mean, one of the things that I started and I'm really wanting to finish at work is just a list of what equipment we have and where in the labs. Because what keeps happening is people keep walking into rooms and going, oh, I didn't know we had that. It's like, oh dear.
I have a question about the janitor. Is their situation a case of this is a very overpowered NPC that you fight alongside with, and then you're like, I want this NPC around me forever, and then you're sad when they leave? Or is it just normal, you know, whatever?
I mean, they are pretty darn competent. Like, they've been doing this for a while. I don't think you get. Well, I say you don't get them as an ally. We've never discussed the possibility of being able to recruit people to fight with you. There's a possibility, you know. It's a thing we could do. Maybe they open a shop like Moonlighter, like a Moonlighter. Sorry, thinking of the game.
Yeah, but would it be a thing like what sometimes happens in Zelda, where you have an NPC that's with you just for the area, or would it be like with your Skyrim, where if you do enough things with the NPC, they can just follow you around anywhere, for better or worse?
And
I
have no real impact on the story whatsoever.
I think the area NPC that helps you for an area is more in line with what we already have.
Yeah.
It like, you know, I like your companions that you take everywhere, but also that seems like it would be very stupid for certain parts of this quote unquote game. And not like in the silly, oh that's so stupid way, but more in like, why why would we do that?
Oh, I mean, also, if we took this NPC with us to other areas, we've now just removed him from his job.
Yeah.
It would take a long time for the wizards to notice, to be fair.
And that's true, but also feels rude, you know? Still his job.
Also, I have just realised I've repurposed. I've repurposed this character unintentionally for my plans for a randomly generated Metal Gear Solid game. Yeah, there was going to be a badass janitor in that as well, with a moustache.
At least it's your own character.
True. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there can also be more than one badass janitor with a mustache.
Yeah, but you know. Also, I probably will never get around to doing randomly generated Metal Gear Solid because time. Shame, really. Had some very silly ideas.
Oh, rude.
No.
I mean, also to be fair, having a badass janitor running around isn't necessarily out of line for Metal Gear Solid.
E.
In fact, I'd say that's probably more normal than something in Metal Gear Solid.
I mean, they're obviously just a janitor. There's nothing else going on, so don't worry about it.
I mean, that's the weird part of it.
I love this bird.
Ooh.
It's so cool.
Hey, Kiro! How you doing? Everything should have the same badass janitor with a moustache. Dimension hopping janitor.
Yes.
Is this my Atlas?
Yeah. Have fun with that.
All of these characters are so cool, and I've just recolored an image I found on Pinterest.
It looks cool.
And gave them legs.
I like this honestly like wine aunt of a character. I don't know which area they're from or what their purpose in the story is, but they have a wine aunt personality.
Can they be the person who follows you around in the harbour?
Oh, that would be
Just making comments.
Yeah.
They don't help, they just make commentary.
You fall down a hole and just hear, oh, watch out for that hole.
No. See, they're with you in the marketplace, but you can't get through the marketplace all that quickly because they keep stopping to talk with every single NPC that's also in the marketplace.
Reminder that the harbour is basically the start of the game. So you have to do this before you can get to anything else.
They
You're doing
were
okay, hope
supposed
you're doing
to be
well.
a
Yeah.
forest person, like Mad Hattery in the forest, kind of a forest lunatic, that you don't know if they're helping you or not. And I was thinking in the wine glass was blood.
Oh,
or
lovely.
With honey. But
Red blood.
No.
Limbo
More,
honey.
more blood honey.
all of that is very boring, and I like Harbor Guy much better.
No, that's cool.
I mean, Harvard Guide at least is funny.
Yeah.
I like the idea of like, because sometimes you have like, you know, usually you have like an introductionary character who like, this is a shop. Here you go get your Pokemon healed. This is, that kind of character. But it's just this character, and also like they stop at every NPC to be like, this is this person. You're just stuck until they're done.
I'm reminded a little bit of a character from the Dishonored RPG that we're playing, who we decided to try and talk to get some information, and they just went off on 20-minute tangents about their next door neighbor.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all very well, but this building's been broken into. Do you have any information?
Absolutely not.
I mean, the fun thing is, if this is sort of filling that role of the NPC, but it's actually not all that useful, because they're just introducing you to the things that are only in the harbor and not the things that are like game relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They think they're being helpful.
Absolutely. They think they're so helpful.
Meanwhile, the one who's a little more helpful with introducing you to the, oh, here are the things you need for game mechanic things, are the wizards, who are also just entirely incomprehensible.
Yeah. Most are indifferent to you or too involved in what they're doing, and those that actually have the time for you don't make sense. So
I like the idea of like one of the like tutorial wizards, like that one of their like information boxes pops up of like, this is, press A to do this, and then this character reacts with like, what do you mean press A? Just talk to a person.
Yeah, fourth wall character.
yeah, just the wizard that can see beyond the fourth wall. And special goggles.
I mean, I think that's most of the wizards. Which is why they're incomprehensible.
It's like, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to your controller. Hello, person beyond the screen. These are the instructions.
And I mean, to a certain extent, games don't, like... I mean, okay, so, and Barry has brought this up in streams before, there's different kinds of immersion. So there's, like, immersion of, oh, I can believe that this world exists and these people who are talking to me are, like, real people. And in which case, yes, you wouldn't really want NPCs saying, press Y to dodge roll or something like that. Because that's weird. People don't say that. But there's also immersion in the sense of, does this game not accidentally throw me out of me playing the game? So, like, is there nothing that, like, breaks my focus on, I'm having fun playing this game? In which case, having an NPC that just sort of goes, right, now let's practice how to use your menu and hookshot or whatever, where you do have NPCs that say, yeah, let's press these 4 buttons to play your loot type thing, isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just funny to me that we're now sort of going both ways with this, where we've got some characters where it's like, no, they're here to help with the, like, game mechanic stuff, and then other characters are just actual people who are just kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about?
We break immersion in multiple ways.
This is why our game is unplayable.
Critics have described it as no.
I mean, could be worse. Could be that one transport delivery game where the distance between cities is the same as what it is in real life. So if it takes you 2 hours a drive to get between two cities, it will take you a 2-hour drive to get there in the game.
Goodness. Why would you make such a game?
Well, there is Desert
If
Bus.
I remember correctly, it was made as a commentary and pushback against people who are like, games need to be realistic, realistic, realistic. And then it's like, okay, but here's a game that's realistic. Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, that'll do. I didn't have a second plan. I can kind of feel like in my head, or thinking, as most people call it. I can kind of imagine sort of like levels in the Wizard's Tower with this character, just sort of like, you know, maybe they sort of thwack you up with the mop onto the sort of top of a bookcase or something, and then you've got to run around bookcases. And...
Which
Oh,
character?
yeah, it's platformer.
Yeah.
Action platformer now.
Yeah, well, we've had a bunch of sort of platformy ideas, like the hats in the Cult of the Duct, and the jellyfish jumping on the jellyfish. There were some other ones as well, I can't remember. You see this guy and think, wow, look at him, he must be some kind of badass warrior monk. He's like, hello chap, I'm janitor. I mean, he's a badass janitor. One out of
It's in
10
his
ain't bad.
title.
Also, I like, I don't know what's happened with fantasy, but I love the idea of like badass monk is just a thing. Like, was that a thing in history? Pretty sure they were mostly just sort of quiet people who wrote books.
I mean, I know in some more East Asian monasteries they would practice more in the more literal sense martial art, but it was more like a sort of closer to yoga type thing rather than a fighting style that you are expected to use to beat someone up.
Yeah. Yeah, I was... Hill Dragon just said, they were in... Never mind, Ragdoll got it. Yeah, I'm thinking very westerly about this. Forgot about, you know, monks in other cultures. Gosh, I'm so Western-oriented, my apologies.
How dare you?
Narrow-minded. But yeah, I just... For some reason, whenever I hear monk, I think of, like, Cadfael. Just like these guys in brown robes. Just, you know, quietly pottering around a courtyard.
I mean, that would
D&D
be
kind
like...
of westernized. Like D&D kind of made the cleric thing very...
Yeah, usually when I think of
censored.
Western monks, I'm more I'm more reminded of like the opposite, because in medieval Europe and earlier there was this whole idea of like we will abstain from earthly pleasures to be closer to God, and then you'd end up with these individuals who just sort of lived on top of a pillar, only eating scraps that got thrown up to them. And I don't imagine those people were very strong in like the physical sense of things.
Would be fun to play like in D&D a like more Western monk, but they are like the fighting type, and it's just like how do I?
The power of Christ compels ye. Whack.
Yeah, just
They learned all of their like martial arts skills purely as a kind of almost like a kind of Tai Chi sort of thing, as a relaxation technique. So they've never done it under stress before.
Yeah, just this monk that just kind of panics and then whacks whatever the bad guy is, like with like the little cross that he has on him. This little bunk.
That's your next character. Great.
I mean, I know, like, to a certain extent, Templar type people were a thing, but they were less people
That's-
of the church that were warriors and more like this is the church's
Yeah,
hired goons.
Yeah.
That feels more paladin than monk, if we're talking D&D terms.
Yeah. And also,
Yeah.
historically, they weren't really people of the church. It was essentially the army of the church. Or
Also, historically, they sucked.
yeah, there is that.
They were really bad people. They murdered many people, especially in Lithuania.
Oh yeah, the Templar. That was going to be another thing in the Metal Gear Solid. You always need some sort of weird organization, don't you?
Okay, question.
Only one?
If if the prompt is the world, I forgot what that means exactly. Is it just like a general?
Yeah. So we've usually taken it to mean something that isn't specified to a location.
Okay.
So, you know, for example, if you have a character in the world, maybe that's somebody who travels around, or like a character that you sort of see independent of location, or
Yeah.
If you murder at least 100
Or an element
heretics,
that
God
shows
will
up in
forgive you
multiple
of your
locations.
sins.
Just tempted
What?
to just draw a gun.
Dark's telling me to murder heretics.
What?
I don't know. Just dark things.
Hashtag just dark things.
I assume it's a reference. Probably a Templar, what's it? Oh, it's how
Yeah.
Templars work. Okay, cool.
Probably. Because I believe... Oh, and I don't remember the name. And actually, I don't even remember which one it was. So during the... During one of the Crusades, and the fact that there was more than one sort of tells you how well they went, because people kept losing. The Pope at the time said that anyone who fought and died in the Crusades would have their sins forgiven by God. So, yay. And yeah, the Crusades were full of criminals because basically everyone was like, okay, I want to get into heaven, here's my quick ticket.
Yeah. Technically only one crusade, quote-unquote, succeeded. And there were, like, at least 7.
Not a great hit rate, must be said.
Probably many more, like, but, like, at least 7, like, official crusades. And only the first one, quote-unquote, succeeded, but they didn't really, but they, like, started the Crusader states. Like, they got, like, some land from around Jerusalem and, like, current day Israel and such. Which they named the Crusader states. Yeah, that's the only time they got anything out of the Crusades, basically. So, not a good hit rate.
No.
But also good that they didn't have a good hit
Yeah.
rate.
I feel like this is appropriate because when I was younger, we had a series of games called Stronghold, where you played somebody in charge of a stronghold, And you built it and looked after it and looked after the people inside it and defended it from people attacking and attacked other strongholds. You were a medieval lord. Well, not a lord. You were a vassal, I guess. But basically the games did really, really well. And then the first game that just basically sort of tanked and didn't do very well and set the trajectory for the rest of the series was Stronghold Crusaders. So it's good that the tradition is carrying on of Crusades being very unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Also, there's another thing I learned from that medieval channel that I shared in Discord. Was something I already did know, which is the idea of maps used to face east, or used to have east at the top, which is where we get the word orienteering from. The Orient was at the top. But another thing I didn't know was that at the time they used to anything to do with God, if they had access to the materials, anything to do with God or Christ or whatever, was usually in blue. And the reason for that is that basically a really good blue pigment was very expensive. They used lapis lazuli, which was...
Yeah, because blue's not a pigment
Far
that
away.
shows up in nature all that frequently. You're more likely to get a weird violet color.
Yeah, there are kind of the weaker blues, but there's the really, really vivid blue. There's a thing called the Mappa Mundi. I think there are several, actually. And the words of Christ are written in blue.
Nature. There are things in nature that are blue, but they're not things you can really make pigments out of. Good luck making pigment out of bird feathers.
Yeah, they usually end up with like weaker blues or greens, which is also a fun fact that you see in clothes that like the during the medieval era, people of higher standing, like upper middle class basically, wore like the very like bright proper blues, and then the lower you went down the ladder, essentially, the more like faded and washed out it got, and eventually you got to clothes with more affordable pigments like red and yellows and everything. Very colorful. And of course you have purple for the highest standing. Purple is impossible.
Purple. Purple is royal. So
Yeah,
God's blue,
purple
double
is
D,
royalty,
yes.
blue is usually like upper middle class, like the proper like really pigmented blues.
And
Well, and the
load.
fun thing is, it's like the purple being royalty is also sort of extended from like Roman. It might have also gone back all the way to Greek, because there's a shade that was sort of called purple, but it's more accurate to call it like Tyrian pink, that was made out of a specific kind of seashell. That's this really purpley pink color. And that was so expensive to get.
I want everyone to please acknowledge the difference between what Oops has drawn and what I just have drawn.
I mean, I think it's fine.
What? What I do?
Oh no, see nothing.
I think
It's called the duality, sweaty.
I know, but it's really funny. I'm not.
I can do round shapes. That is not within my wheelhouse.
I personally happen to think that Death Hawk and Uncle Clown would get on very well.
I love Uncle Clown.
We all have one.
Does that say brie cornflower?
What?
This is a cake.
Bone compass?
Yeah, I'm thinking of things.
Ah, right. Okay.
I'm hungry.
It does look like a pie a little bit. You know that because of Civilization. Most of my history comes from Blackadder, so any source is good as long as it's correct.
Most of my history is supposed to come from university.
I was going to say you
I
studied
suppose.
it.
I mean,
So
my
you gotta-
understanding of at least part of your university is just you going, I hate philosophers.
Yeah, that's why I say supposed to, because also I've learned many parts of it from Tumblr.
Hey,
Which I
Tumblr
think
isn't.
is fair enough, because I also get all my philosophy from Tumblr.
Well, just be careful about it.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Sometimes you get just absolute nonsense.
Yeah,
What? On Tumblr? You jest, surely.
I wouldn't know. I still can't log in.
No!
Yeah. I'm usually skeptical until I see links, but, you know, for the history stuff at least.
Yeah, always look for citations.
Yep.
Because otherwise you get absolute nonsense like people claiming that Anne Frank had white privilege, and it's like,
God.
that's
That's not what...
that's not how that works.
I mean... That's not what that's about. That's not what
Yeah,
the
it's not.
issue there.
Currently, yes, that's not what that's about, but also it also ignores the entire framework of the philosophy, quote unquote, of race and ethnicity in Europe at that time frame.
Yeah. I mean, it also just fully ignores, like, thousands of years of discrimination against Jewish people.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's one? Because of how absurd that statement was, your brain took Anne Frank as Helen Keller for a good 30 seconds.
I mean, I guess you could say Helen Keller had white privilege, but it was more along the lines of she had some privileges because her parents were wealthy and was thus able to get help with communication. But even that ignores all the work she put into it after she finally had the tools to communicate.
People like
And
trying
yeah,
to
people are dumb.
people like trying to explain things through the lens that they understand the world, and often it doesn't apply.
Yeah, speaking of Anne Frank, I also remember another Tumblr discourse where, like, people were very upset that, like, Otto Frank and Frank's father hadn't, like, published a diary with, like, the, you know, with the bisexual thoughts of his teenage daughter still inside of it. That was an entire discourse.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we spin a wheel?
Yeah, let's spin a
wheel.
I think it speaks to my experience of Tumblr that I haven't seen any of those discourses.
I almost exclusively get weird recipes and cats. So
Yeah, I just have a very strong
I
like
see
that.
them.
I'm gonna unfollow you.
I see them many weeks late, mostly by people who I follow who are actually active in doing activism, who are many weeks later going, right, let's talk about this thing that's popped up and why it's nonsense.
Yeah. I usually see them in that context too, of like, first, like, here's the original, like, dumbass, like, statement, whatever someone said, and their whole entire essay. And then here is the essay of why the fuck that's all stupid and garbage.
I mean, I do get like Greek stuff, but it's mostly retellings of myth in a funny way.
Oh, I also get a lot of things of like, hey, here's this story, but what if? And basically AU stuff, for which I blame Chibi, and also some anime for which I blame Kiro. I don't understand sports boys, anime sports boys. I don't what.
You don't have to understand them. Just know that they will win the game.
They will win.
Because
They will.
of the power
Are
of
you not
their
familiar with-
friendship and determination.
Yeah.
That,
They-
or they will lose the
Where
game, and there will be a character development arc, and they will win the next game via the power of friendship.
Think of Glee, but man,
They will throw the ball and they will hit the bat, and goals will be pointed.
it's about the interpersonal relationships, Chris.
Yeah.
I say that while never having watched a sports anime.
No, but it's actually like, cause I watched Kuroko's Basketball, which is a basketball anime, before I watched Haikyuu, which is a volleyball anime, and I could predict whether they would win a game or not in Haikyuu based on my experiences of Kuroko's Basketball, which was the only sports anime I'd seen at that point.
Nice. Transferable skills, that's what they call that. Spin the wheel!
Like, yes, they're gonna win the training match and show off their skills, but no, they're not gonna win the actual match against that same team.
Well,
But they are gonna win the next one.
They have to go to regional. Oh god, that's a dumb community joke.
Yeah, they have to go. I mean, they have to go to regionals. They lose the first regionals. Then there is a second, like, more important thing. And they win that.
Quests! We got quests.
Ways.
Quests! Speaking of not having a story to sew everything together yet, quests! Yeah, so we have quests. Oobs, you have the viaduct. I apologize. It's literally a road. It's got an aqueduct in it.
Quest is get across the viaduct.
Yeah. Everybody can do cheap cave. So everybody come up with a different way you can annoy bad archaeologists.
I mean, or maybe help the one male lizard.
Yeah.
Trying to deliver the mail.
Everybody come up with a different quest that you can do with a male lizard, not just to deliver post. There should be something else, like manufacture stamp, etc. I have floating city, so there's a lot I could do there. Boy, that's fertile ground. Chib, you have the harbor.
Ooh.
So more about Chonk Lizard and Uncle Clown.
More about Chunk Lizard and Uncle Clown. That's the name of the quest.
Mail is in post, not mail is in Malay. I don't know. I just thought, sorry, I got confused because my brain actually realized that mail with an I is also two words. Like chain mail and post, and my brain just exploded. Dark, you have wizard nonsense. Come up with a wizard nonsense quest. There's literally no structure you need to adhere to. Christy, you get the abyss.
Ooh.
So you get fun jellyfish times. Ragdoll gets the golden city. Plamps has Kira's forest. Lewis gets a limbo, and Kiro has the world. So Kiro, once again, you have the nice and easy task of determining the entire main story.
Good luck.
Very easy.
Enjoy. Right, quest of the floating city. Think of the one male lizard. That's a quest in itself. Oh, kind of like Ganon sort of thing. Ganondorf.
What?
In Ocarina of Time, I think Ganondorf is the only male Gerudo. I think.
Oh yeah. God,
There's only one male is born every 1,000 years or something.
that he's Gerudo.
That's because the rest of them are female and look completely different.
I thought they were a single entity.
You what?
I thought they were a single thing, just being, not having a connection to anything else. Ganondorf.
Oh, well, I mean, it sort of depends on which game.
Right.
Okay, I need to get. Yeah, we've already talked once about the nonsensical construction of the Zelda universe, which only serves to mean that we don't have to make sense here. I've just looked that Oobs has further improved their art, and this is frustrating.
What?
Also,
what?
Wynart has hat and jewelry now.
Oh yeah, that's very important. They are wine ons.
Does this mean if he dies they can't reproduce? I don't. Isn't it like he's the only one male is born every 1,000 years or so? So presumably, unless they live to be 1,000.
Maybe it's asexual reproduction.
Yeah, I'm thinking
It
it's something like the
is
Komodo dragons can do that, right?
canon for both Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild that the Gerudo marry guys from other races.
Oh, right.
That's also an option, I guess.
Although in Ocarina of Time, marriage is in quotes there. Apparently, there is a span of time where they would just raid and steal Hylians.
They must have wicked strong genes.
So do the Amazon thing. What you mean? Leave the parcel on the doorstep and then leave without knocking the door?
Because I mean,
Yes.
if you marry other races, that
Yeah.
you wouldn't. You would get more of a melting pot, I guess.
I was going to say you would.
Yeah, that's
You-
not really very. They don't go very far into it in Ocarina of Time. The most we get is that once every 1,000 years you have a male Gerudo born who's like supposed to be a powerful mage and become their king. And everyone's sort of following his orders, but also you've got the one gal who's like, hey, this doesn't feel right. I'm going to do an investigate. In Breath of the Wild, I don't think we ever see any male Gerudo, but you've also got this thing of like they're more spread out and not so like. I mean, their main city is still in the desert, and their main city is still women only, but they seem to sort of have a loose definition of what they mean by woman because you can just put on ladies' clothes and they're like, yeah, sure, come on in.
Well, I mean, Link's build is quite wife-like, I guess. I mean,
Is that the name of the VOD?
I don't think. I don't think they thought he was just like a guy in woman's clothes. I thought he was just. They thought he was just a woman.
I mean, some of them maybe, but the main NPCs figure out pretty quickly that it's like, you're in drag. Hi. What are you doing here? Why are you in the castle? Why do you have the Sheikah slate?
Right, so I've got to make a quest with the floating city, and it's now that I want to specify what's going on there. Who are all the people?
Don't worry about it.
We have because there were like three, as far as I recall, there were like three warring factions, and then there's what's left of the people who were in charge. One of the warring factions are the mutated people who were used as like slaves. Sky pirates are there. That's about it. That's all I know. I'm sure more was said, but I can't recall. This is why I need to keep better maintenance of the gallery. Put all the ideas there so they're in one place.
I like how in the picture you've drawn of the janitor bopping you on top of a bookcase with their mop. You've drawn the character in full plate mail.
Yeah, I keep drawing the main character with some sort of armor on, so because we don't know what they look like because it's character creator. So
It would be funny if we never know what they look like, because they are constantly in
Yeah.
armor.
wonder if the male Gerudo of Breath of the Wild are related to the Yagi clan or whatever it's called, the ninja clan that tries to kill Link. They're both male and female, but they're also situated in the desert, or near it at least. Though now that you think about it, they're probably more related to the monks. Monks again!
It
Bloody
always
monks.
comes back to monks.
I don't know why I read that all out loud. I didn't understand a word I just said. I haven't played Breath of the Wild.
I did, and I don't know. Because the fun thing is, yes, they are situated near the desert, and apparently the Gerudo have to deal with them. Well, their main base is situated near the desert, and the Gerudo have had to deal with them trying to steal stuff from them. But also their symbol is an upside-down version of, their name is escaping me, but it's a clan that's sort of closer to the royal family with protecting them. With that eye thing. They've got that eye as their symbol, and the Yika clan is that, but upside down.
I don't know anything about Zelda.
Me neither. I didn't even know it was a thing until I was an adult.
And I knew
No,
it was a thing, but I didn't just never played any of the games.
No childhood Zelda.
No, we didn't. We weren't allowed a console when I was little.
I had a demo of Wind Waker.
I knew Zelda was a thing because of Smash Bros.
Well, okay, here's the story of Zelda. There is a boy, a fairy boy called Zelda. And he fights an old god called Hamon. Because he's a pig. That's basically it, really. They just do that a lot.
Okay. Good to know. Anyway, quests.
Yeah, I don't know. I had another. I was trying to think of something to do with the floating city, and all I could think of were the three factions fighting against each other. And I like the idea that they all have like an element of identity to them in terms of like what they wear or what weapons they're using or so on and so forth. And thus, maybe there could be like 3 quests which are all helping one person from one clan to defect to another. And it's just a completely cyclical thing. You end up just one person out of this group to take another person out of this group to take another person out of this group, and now everything's back to what it was before. So people are in clothes they find more comfortable or whatever. So I'm just drawing a mutated pirate at the moment, but that's my starting point.
Man, that's a good
That's
starting point. I don't have
Actually,
a starting
really
point.
funny.
I like the idea of doing a quest that involves a lot of work, but ultimately the consequence is that nothing has really changed. 3 people are slightly happier, I guess.
See, this is what would make the game unplayable. Because I would throw the game across the room at that point.
I
We're assuming you get that
to be
far in the
fair, I
game.
would throw the game across the room far before that point, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also a triple, what's it called? I don't know why the word that comes to me is accordion. Not accordion quest. It's quest. What's the quest where you have to keep someone alive? I forget the word.
Escort.
Escort.
Escort. Thank you.
I'm happy to call them accordion
Accordion
quests from
come
now
from?
on, though.
Yeah, accordion.
Because you need to run ahead and then let them get closer and then run ahead again.
Now we need to have an accordion quest.
Yeah, the distance between you keeps stretching and compacting and stretching up. It's like an
You run
accordion.
too
That makes
fast,
sense.
and you run and walk too fast.
Yeah, they move at the speed between your walk and run speed.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mail quest, inventory management in the back of the mail truck. You that's
I
you
love
get
all
fast
these
travel. You can
horrible ideas.
you can ask them for fast travel. They can drive you between places, but the journey only ends when you've finished sorting the mail in the back of the thing. So that's your payment for fast travel.
Your payment
And
is
you
your
have
time.
you have no idea how much mail is going to be there, how long it's going to take to sort. It could take way longer than it takes to actually walk to where you want to go.
More
Yeah, I was
reasons
just
why the game is
reminded of-
unplayable.
That would make me throw the game across the room.
And you don't see it as much as you could because apparently one game company decided to try and patent it. It used to be that some games would have like, oh, it's during a loading screen, but we've got like a mini game going on so that you have something to do while the loading screen is going. You don't see that much anymore for two reasons. One, loading times are faster because computer hardware is more. Two, there was one game company that tried to patent that, which meant that no one else could do it.
Ugh.
Yay!
Reminded of like, oh, we can have a mini game during the loading screen of sorting mail.
That would be fun. Well,
But again, the loading screen only ends when you finish the game.
Now, how would that work?
And for no reason, the music gets more manic and sped up like the Sonic drowning music, but there are no stakes.
No.
It's like the is it called the shepherd tone, where it sounds like it's constantly going up and up and up. You write music that sounds like it's getting faster, but it never actually, like, at some point it loops, even though it feels like it's always getting faster. I reckon you could do that.
like a nightmare.
Yeah,
I reckon.
this sounds like a lot of stress for no particular reason, and I love it.
Seems to be Chris's brand at this point.
I really want to know, Chip, how the heck do you just simplify an outfit like this? It's so perfect.
Very good.
Yep, found the patent information. Namco filed the patent in 1995.
Yeah.
And the patent expired in 2015, which is why there's a 20-year gap of no one being able to do them.
If Namco. It's just such a stupid thing to patent.
I don't like this drawing. I'm gonna move on.
Whenever you have something that's either too broad, it's just like that's not what patents are for.
Wasn't it? The game came out recently. Was it called The Medium? And they patented gameplay with two simultaneous views of the same place. Because the idea in their game was that you would have, like, you're a medium, you could see the real world, but you could also see the hell dimension or whatever it is. And so they had like a split screen of being able to see both simultaneously, but they just decided to patent that for no particular reason. And it's like, great.
I can think of multiple games that make use of that game mechanic.
How is that even?
I can think of one that has it split into 3 screens. Like, you did not come up with that.
I think their thing is specifically it has to be like the same shot of the same place, but they're different. In the sense of like, what, you know, 2 different dimensions, rather than it being like a kind of, you know, 2 different views of the same place or whatever. But either way, it's one of those things that's like, just don't.
Just don't.
Yeah, and I can think of a couple games that do that, and one that has it split into 3. So, like, don't.
Yeah. Anyway, Beluba team. They don't have any ideas of their own, so they try and copyright other people's. Sorry. I like Layers of Fear, but it's not original.
Oh, what came before?
It's just pretty much all of the ideas. It's basically they made PT. Because PT didn't get made. Lots of people wanted to make PT, so they made PT, but they did it using basically other ideas. from like films and stories and stuff. There was just nothing. It was one of those things where it's like it's a good product. It's very well made. Graphically, it's very, very good. But it's very much derivative of existing things. And then they made the sequel, which is explicitly derivative of other things, specifically films in that instance. And it's like every game that they've made subsequently has been more obviously like, we took this idea from this person. Like the medium, I think, was inspired by the art of a particular artist who made these really interesting sort of hell-like sort of artscapes and so on and so forth, and the game was based on that art, and as far as I know, that artist had absolutely no input in the game whatsoever. So yeah, I don't know, it's just, as a company, they make very, very good technical things, but have no ideas of their own, and it just kind of annoys me. Anyway.
Back in when it came out, I thought that game was really cool. With like the horror elements in the story and stuff, but also that there was something missing. I don't know if it's because it was bits and pieces from other stuff, but I just thought it was meant to be unsatisfying.
I don't think it was meant to be.
I mean, I remember watching that
enjoyed
video
D&D.
game, and it was just like, it was a good game, but at the end I didn't really feel like anything substantial had really happened.
Yeah, exactly.
What are games?
What are games? That is a good question. First, you need to answer the question, what is?
No. We're not doing this again.
What is not?
Well, I mean, if you consider games to be an art form, people have been grappling with the question of what is art ever since photography started to become a thing. So, at the very least.
The only gaming I've been doing lately is The Sims.
Yeah. I wanna watch this. I wanna play The Sims again too. I've been watching people play Sims, and it's just always looks so much fun.
I wanna play The Sims 2 and 3 again on a computer that can handle that. Like, find an old ass computer that was meant to play these games.
Yeah, that too. Because I look at The Sims 4 and it just looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, what that would do until I made a character and I put them in a house. And Sims 4 has one of those wall beds.
Oh yeah, I saw you posted on
Oh, yeah.
or something.
Like
They
the very
died.
first day, she just died. And I thought that was very funny.
Yeah, that is very funny.
That's one of the unhinged things that like would have happened in Sims 2 that I.
Yeah.
And also, there's just way more. I have the impression that there's way more like gender things that are more.
Yes, they are. They either have or are going to release a base game update where you can basically set like every single like preference for your Sims, like sexuality wise.
See, the fun thing is, if I remember correctly, what they're doing is they're not making it so that your Sims can be gay. They're making it so that your Sims won't necessarily be pansexual.
Yeah, it is more like
because the default was just any Sim can be with any Sim.
Yeah.
And now they're adding in, actually you can now limit that if you want.
Adding in restrictions.
Yeah. I mean, that's also what I've gathered. Just like they're putting in like more restrictions, which also makes for fun things. Like people have pointed out, like you can now make an asexual Sim essentially, or an aromantic Sim. because you can set all those preferences.
Yeah.
Finally, they can focus on becoming a master painter like I always wanted them to.
That's always the thing I went for in The Sims.
For me, it was always piano. For some reason, just always. Whatever sim, they are now playing the piano for 7 days straight. I don't care. But I mean, I also recently saw someone play do something in like The Sims 2 again, and that really made me realize that like The Sims 4 is good, it looks good, and it has some fun things, but like The Sims 2 was just wild, like off the charts, super wild, like every second, like something is happening, like a new person shows up.
You had the giant cutscenes when they get married, when they propose, when they first kiss. It was wild.
Yeah, and also just like that was also like the person like who I watched was like a person who grew up playing The Sims 3 mostly, and then moved on to Sims 4, and they were like stunned because of there was a helicopter pad.
Oh yeah.
The Sims 4 doesn't have cars.
The amount of money that I wasted on all those fucking expansion packs.
Yeah.
When I moved out and I had to collect them all to like throw them out because none of my computers can can run those games. It was like a giant bag full of Sims 2 and Sims 1 expansion packs.
Yeah,
They were
it's like
20 euros each, which is like a lot of money.
I mean, yeah, but like for the for The Sims 4, I think it's you have the expansion packs, then you have the stuff packs, which only have stuff in them.
Confusing. I don't get the difference.
Expansion packs usually have new game mechanics. Stuff packs only have stuff.
Before you can explain what stuff is, you have to first explain what is.
Shut up! I think there's another layer between that, and then there's like they've introduced kits, which are like €5, and you get like a small bundle of things, which is like, why?
Why not?
I'm sorry, why?
The Sims 4 packs are atrocious.
Yeah, they really are.
There's something about The Sims 1 though.
I've never really... I had The Sims 1, and I have an expansion pack for The Sims 1, but I never, like, really played... I really played Sims 2 and Sims 3. Those were, like, yes.
Yeah.
Especially Sims 2. Catch me, like, putting, like, a goal, a bowling lane, a, like, thing, like a skating rink, all in the backyard for every single family. I didn't care.
All I really remember about my experience playing The Sims, I only had Sims 1. But I remember getting very, very good at typing Rosebud.
Yes.
Little semicolons after that. Oh god. Just the tap of the space and the enter bar.
Yeah, the only cheat I really did was like the motherload one, which was the only one I knew until I was like 17.
No, and like age on and off, because you age.
Oh god. That happens once in a stream and it always surprises me.
Yeah.
Especially when wet.
Yeah.
Also, the music of the first one, which is iconic.
It is, yeah.
Sims music is amazing.
Honestly, my favorite Sims game, and that's probably not gonna surprise anyone, is The Sims Medieval, which is like in the Sims 3 generation.
I had that one too.
You too could be a monk.
Yes, you could!
No, that was truly the vibe. I think you could get eaten by a whale. Oh no, your parents.
I
like
think you could like go hunt for whales, and I think you could die from that, but I'm not sure.
I think there was like.
But that was like a trait, like negative traits. Parents
Select-
eaten by whale.
Yeah, you could select like your background or something, or your damage or your trauma. I don't know.
Yeah, you had to like pick like positive traits and negative traits or something like that, so you could like end up with like them like parents eaten by a whale, or an alcoholic, or just a fucking slut. But yeah, because it was really I really loved that, because you could like you had to like essentially like make a kingdom with your own Sims. So you had to like make a ruler, so you could like make a king or queen, and like a spy master and a healer and a wizard and a like I believe there was like you had like the monks of like the good little abbey, and then you had like the head of the Church of Doom next door. You could make a bard, and my bards were, I think, always slutty, so.
This surprises me.
Really?
The default state of bards, to be totally honest.
Yeah. And then in the expansion pack you got, I believe also, like, I don't know if you could make those, I don't remember that, but, like, you got, like, pirate stuff.
Evil expansion pack?
There was one expansion pack for The Sims Medieval. It was called, like, Pirates and Nobles or something.
I never got medieval. It was expensive and I couldn't use it with the rest of the Sims game.
Yeah. But that was my favorite Sims game.
Sounds awesome.
And I really wish they would do something like that again.
First, they would make the old Sims games compatible to new machines.
Yeah.
But then you wouldn't buy the new game.
I still
But the
want
new game is honestly, like, some things about it are fun, but it's also very bland, I gotta say.
it's fun. It's
know,
fun
I like
for
It is fun. I have played it, but I do miss like a little bit of chaos. Maybe that's just me.
Chibi, there are aliens. You can go to space.
Yeah, but I don't like the alien stuff. I've never really liked the alien stuff.
I don't know, I like it.
I'm not a sci-fi person. Alien.
Anyway, look at this weird sci-fi character I made.
I think it's also like just like because in The Sims 4 like the neighborhoods are like very, very structured.
That is true. There's very little like room
like-
for.
Yeah, that kind of annoyed me, because kind of annoys me every time I play it, because I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna make a thing, but there's like in most of them there's like maybe one empty lot and you cannot place any more empty lots.
Yeah, that is annoying.
You just have like an empty lot and a house, and the rest is just filled already. They're like, why did I pay for this?
Yeah, I need to make a world the Maker World tool for Sims 3 I used a lot, and like having these set lots that's not on the map, like you don't have any structure, or like you can't build your own like dream world.
No, that's yeah. Because I recently went into like a world that came with a pack for like Sims farm. Yeah, cottage farm living or whatever it's called, and it was just like there is one house here that you can live in. I was just like, where's the rest?
Yeah.
Like I get there's like all these like NPC buildings, but like where's the rest?
The rest is in the buckets. Also, is this your science fiction character?
Yeah. I thought I want to put a little bit more thought into like what the different factions would look like, because we kind of have the Sky Pirates and we have the mutants and stuff like that. We haven't really done much with the other ones, the workers, the fighters. And so the idea of drawing a character that's like from one of the groups but has now been defected to the other one of the groups. It's quite hard when you don't have a concrete idea of what any of the groups look like. So I decided to try and come up with an idea for a design for the pilot. The sort of the last of the lords of the floating city, and I was just like, I want to make them weird.
Well, you've succeeded.
It looks like they're playing a giant organ, being all Frankenstein-y.
Maybe. I don't know what they're... Well, they're technically flying the city, so they're hooked up to something or other, but maybe it is an organ. If Final Fantasy X-2 has taught us anything, it's that you can control anything with an organ, apparently.
Ragdoll, why does that just say fill out the application papers?
Hey, so I'm figuring that with the Golden City, if you're trying to like go in and like either work with the higher ups, like the upper echelons of society, and or mess up their day. It's probably like a thing where it's like they don't let just anybody in there. So you have to like make an appointment, and also that appointment involves like 15 letters of reference saying that you actually belong here, and just a whole bunch of other nonsense. So it's just kind of like, hey, fetch quest from hell to get in here. Because you need so many things.
Hey, Oobs, you enjoying this game?
To get in here.
Am I enjoying what? I'm not following.
That's fair.
Side quest to fill out application papers, then you're sent all over the place. Does that sound fun?
I'm gonna keep it real, Chief. No.
Good.
I'll get you a 1-star rating on this teamwork with stars.
Good, we're trying to make this game unplayable at this point.
Yeah. I specified an adventure game, I did not specify a good one.
And I inspirations are Zelda and Final Fantasy, so I mean...
And Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. We're excused with being nonsensical.
You have to understand, I come from the ADHD idea of the minute I get bored, I'm out.
I've been out for an hour. I drew one character and my mind is done.
I'm trying to like draw my character in Clip Studio because the Aggie brushes are just not my friend at all.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to. If indeed you ever do.
I
I'm still new
haven't.
too, so I don't know if it's the program. It might just be me.
I basically
Oh.
developed a different style of drawing to
Yeah, me too.
get used to
I have
doing.
just like resigned myself to the fact that I will never draw anything remotely good at Sketch.
I think I sketch better in this style, which is weird. But actually making like a finished thing, no, that's not happening.
Well, so you sketch in here, and then you put the sketch somewhere else and finish it there.
Yeah.
I guess I should think of a Harper quest. I really don't know anything.
I'm thinking the viaduct is just a toll quest. Quest for toll. You're not allowed to pass.
That's fair. There are also the one idea we haven't really looked into, unless I've forgotten, was the idea of like highwaymen. That was like one of the initial ideas I had for the viaduct. Is it's a thoroughfare. People travel backwards and forwards. A lot of traders, so on and so forth. So they were probably like highwaymen, like bandits.
Oh, bandits. I forgot what highwayman meant for a second.
It's a bit. It's non-specific, isn't it? It's just a, road person. Stand and deliver, etc., etc. I don't know whether that's an idea that translates at all, or whether that was just a British thing. But...
I have no idea whatsoever.
They wear tricorns, so they're kind of like pirates.
I mean, what are pirates but highwaymen of the seas?
Good point. I think if you want to steal anything, you have to wear a tricorn. It's law.
That's fair enough.
And jumps out from behind trees. Stand and deliver your money or your wife.
But yeah, that could be a fun quest for the viaduct. Is just, grab some bandits.
Oh.
Go stop these bandits.
Or
Very easy.
a highwayman jumps out, but they're very nervous and they're not very good at this. And you need to help them be a better highwayman.
Oh, I thought you were going with this, like you have to pretend to be scared.
You have to pretend to be scared, but you also need to get somebody else to come along and also pretend to be scared so that they don't think that you're just making it up. So you have to find somebody else to play along with the routine and give them something to get stolen, because they're not going to want any of their stuff stolen.
Yeah. Stand and deliver. Sir, the weapon isn't loaded.
So you're holding your musket like a club.
That's not how you do it. But I thought, okay.
Oh.
Tries to hold that musket a different way, like this.
No, that you're put it down. You're putting it towards yourself. Put it down.
I'll
Be very
just put
careful.
it on the ground.
This is some Bugs Bunny stuff going on here now. Duck season, rabbit season, duck season, fire.
Like I don't want to pigeonhole any of us in terms of art, right? But I feel like in trying to come up with something for Oobs, we have inadvertently come up with something for Chibi. Like Oobs, I feel like I'm sure they have a lot of range, but by default, Oobs' characters are just uber cool. And
Yeah. Oobs are cool.
Oobs are cool. And yeah, we've come up with a bumbling, lovable. We all have things we're good at.
I'm apparently good at bumbling and lovable.
You're good at lovable. I'm good. I'm weird, I guess. Christie's characters are all sort of like grounded and believable. Like they feel like they're actually people.
Yeah.
That boring. You can say it.
It's not. No, it's not.
Not
Like
boring, you made a why not?
I can
We
imagine
love
talking
them.
to them. I can't imagine talking to any of my characters, but I could imagine talking to all of yours.
Yeah.
And that is a thing. That is a skill. That is impressive.
Thank you. Just because I don't have the imagination that you guys do.
No, that's not.
Still.
Hmm.
I'm very inspired by you guys, and I aspire to get there. Maybe I'll keep the realism still.
Well, I'm inspired by the way that you make characters believable and grounded. Meanwhile, I'm drawing this weird saggy alien.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I don't see the issue here, Chris.
He's wearing a torn up traffic cone on his head. It's not cool.
The word saggy alien, or the sentence, I think, is kind of redundant. If you picture alien, do they have tight skin?
I mean, specify alien singular. That makes me think of the xenomorph. And I guess that that's pretty tight. They're pretty smooth. Well, it's
Yeah,
bony,
they're like
bony
weird
in places,
bugs.
but not saggy. I guess what I'm drawing is sort of inspired by the silence. Sorry, Oobs.
Unbelievable. You dare.
I'm sorry. I haven't mentioned Doctor Who or Stephen Moffat for bloody ages, and as soon as you come along...
I know. Keep all that stuff in until I show up. I like this.
You like the pilot's VR headset? Yeah, I wanted them to have a thing on their head for however they're piloting things. I feel like it needs to be some sort of like, and this is going to be a weird aesthetic, even if anybody really understands it. It needs to be kind of cross between a sort of ancient, sort of palatial, kind of everything sort of made of stone, and there are torches and sconces and stuff like that. A cross between that and the ship in Farscape. If anybody's ever seen Farscape, I recommend it. It's really weird sci-fi with puppets made by the Jim Henson Workshop. It's a weird time, but the set design in that is kind of cool, and I wanted a cross between those two things. And I don't know how I'm going to draw that, because it's...
Isn't the ship in Farscape a living creature?
Yes. And there is the pilot in that is called Pilot. Which is probably why I was thinking about it when there's a character called Pilot. Also, if you've ever seen Stargate, the towards the end of its lifetime, it sort of replaced a lot of the cast members. It replaced a lot of the cast members with the cast of Farscape. So it just became a different show. Which is pretty cool. I've seen Farscape. Of course I've seen Farscape. It's weird. Bloody Crichton and Rigel, and one of the characters has an imaginary villain. Not imaginary, I think he's the only person who can see him, and he's like in weird leather bondage gear. He's strange. Farscape's weird. Australian sci-fi. Good. Anyway, there's your recommendation for sci-fi. After one of you has proclaimed you don't like sci-fi.
It's
and
okay.
we've gone on record of another one of you severely disliking my taste in sci-fi. So,
I really
Crichton isn't
like
insane.
the what's it called? The original Star Wars. I had them on VHS, not like bought. It was from airing on TV. And my favorite was New Hope, and I watched it every time I went to bed. Either that or Harry Potter, or something called an advent, a TV advent calendar. And my favorite time to watch the TV advent calendar was in August.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah. Sorry, I went down a rabbit hole there.
Oh, that's nice.
Just kept reminding me of things.
I used to go to sleep to Red Dwarf, which is a British sci-fi comedy, which I also thoroughly recommend. Because it sounds better than the combination of British sci-fi comedy ever has any right to.
I thought it was newer than that.
I didn't really grow up with sci-fi.
What, Red Dwarf? I mean, Red Dwarf, it started in the early 90s, I think, and they made the last series a few years ago. Or the most recent series. I don't know if they're going to make another one. Farscape was cancelled before they were able to finish it. Oh, bugger. They eventually were able to make a mini-series to tell its ending called The Peacekeeper Wars. Oh, that's what that was. I've heard of the Peace... Well, they keep talking about the Peacekeeper in the show. Need to watch Red Dwarf Sunday. It's good! Although I will now be that person. Hey, I'm that person. First couple of series, bit jank. They had no budget and the audience didn't understand what was going on. Which is fair. But, because it's a British series, a series is 6 half-hour episodes, so it doesn't take long, and you can probably skip it.
Is it BBC?
It is, yes.
Sounded like it. It's always so short if it's BBC.
Did the cast understand what was going on? Not really. But they deliver it well.
The last sci-fi thing I saw was the Obi-Wan series. It was very good. I cried.
Sorry, the what?
The Obi-Wan series.
I'm glad you liked it.
It had just the right amount of sad man.
Good.
Which is the only thing I wanted from that series.
Fair.
I'm like, I hope they don't try to make it cool. He's a sad man, let him be sad.
Only sad. Yeah, I still don't think I've seen a Star Wars film all the way through.
That's valid.
They probably should.
Very boring.
I have watched one Star Wars, and that's all I ever intend to watch.
The original series are kind of boring. The prequel ones are kind of weird and disjointed, and the sequel ones, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk.
Well, let's not talk about it then. Anyway,
I
Farscape.
watched
No.
the first prequel, and that's it.
The reason I got into it was because of Clone Wars.
Oh no, actually, sorry, that is a lie. I think... Is that right? I might have seen Phantom Menace, the first prequel, in theatres when I was a kid. I might have done. I can't remember. I remember seeing the first Harry Potter.
Oh, me too. It was dumb. In Dutch. It was a pure.
The pod racing's fucking amazing.
That's basically it's the only reason people like that, right? it's the cool bit.
Chris, if you do want to watch a Star Wars, I would recommend the Clone Wars 2003 miniseries. It's very much your channel.
With all due respect, I would guess that was the thing you would recommend without you having to say anything.
No, I'm a big fan of the 2008 one.
Oh right, okay. I didn't realize there were different ones.
2003 has an entire different vibe.
Okay,
It's
cool.
2D. It's amazing. It's very short. Anakin with bugs. It's fantastic. It's just I love it.
Nice.
Make it look up.
I apologize for presupposing. Oh, I saw a trailer for the Lord of the Rings prequel thing. And I was struck square in the chest by the notion that I was just watching a lot of humans. They were supposed to be elves and dwarves and whatever, but I just would look at a lot of people.
Do I have to do my fucking redraws again?
Oh, there was. I did see on Tumblr a reveal of what Sauron looks like.
Oh, do I want to know?
They compared it to Eminem, if that helps.
Oh,
That absolutely does not help.
See,
He's supposed to
the
be
fun
like
thing is here. If
inhuman.
I remember correctly, and I could be wrong because it's been a hot minute since I've dove in deep into Tolkien lore. Wasn't Sauron originally supposed to be like really beautiful?
Yeah, so
Which is why people were sort of drawn to him.
And what was I saying? He's supposed to be like inhumanly beautiful and attractive. That's like his thing. The first
So
thing that pop out
either
is Eminem. That doesn't really attract me.
yeah, it is either the case that the costume designers and whatnot, like whoever decided to like design what's going on with this character for the human real action series, did not read the source material, which I think is highly likely considering a bunch of other things, or they think Eminem is the pinnacle of beauty. And I don't know which is a worse insult on them.
I don't know if they didn't read the source or don't know the source material. I think they bank on the audience not knowing the source material.
That's not a good assumption to make with Tolkien. There are literally swaths of academia that study Tolkien.
I know, but the majority of the people who will watch this will not know and will not care, is what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, there will be, like, people who have studied Tolkien that are like, this is wrong, but the majority of the people who will watch this will not care.
There's a picture of Slim Sauron.
That's no. That
What?
no.
What? Show me. Oh no. What?
Listen. What about no? Have you considered no?
Here's the thing. Everything I've heard about this has been just terrible. Absolutely terrible.
It's not even out yet.
I know, but like they showed the young version of Elrond, and that was just
Yeah.
That was so bad that I did like a 2-hour rant on it and then redrew it.
Yep, you did.
How dare you do this to Hugo Weaving?
That's
the wonderful man.
minus the fucking like head cloth that he has draped over him. This is a person I have seen on the streets and actively avoided.
Looks like a bird. I'm being rude. Wait, he did.
Like, I'm gonna say something very, very awful, and that's nothing against the actor, that's just, like, based on this picture and the vibe they give off in this picture, they look like a neo-Nazi.
Oh goodness.
I mean, I guess that seems appropriate.
Yeah, but that's like.
Ooh.
This is like the one chance that you could have casted the most conventionally, or I guess unconventionally, the way you look at it, beautiful human being, and nobody had anything could say anything about it.
No.
Yeah.
There wasn't
Also-
like the opportunity to go off the rails with casting choice.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's also just like the problem with like
It's just a vibe.
I'm gonna go on my rant again, but every single screenshot that I've seen of this show so far doesn't have the vibe.
No, it is
it,
also
it
this
doesn't
is,
have the vibe in clothes, it doesn't have the vibe in lighting or atmosphere or anything like that.
I mean, it's obviously the vibe that's wrong with the this picture, to be honest.
Yeah.
Can I
Like,
just can
I'm
I
sure
can I add?
this guy is perfectly fine,
Yeah.
but look at the angle.
Yeah.
The angle, the styling, it's just not good. Just not good.
Like I don't
Yeah,
even
and
know
I mean,
what
there's
they
one
were
thing to
going
be said
for.
for like pausing at a screen and then like, oh, this is just a bad moment for this. But if this was used as a promo
Yeah.
image,
This is the first image released.
Yeah, that's
now if this was just like, oh, we took a screenshot of part of a promo video, yeah, still images will look different versus the in motion. But if this is, they decided this is what they were going to release as part of their promo images, I have questions.
Hmm.
Maybe
I
it's
just-
like let's cast this out and see what the reaction is. Maybe they'll like do reshoots.
I think it's basically done. I don't think they're going to change that. This isn't the Sonic film.
I know. I can hope they'll.
Can I just add something though that I've just discovered? I wanted to check just in case, and it turns out my worst fears have been realized. And it was a slim chance, but it turns out it's a thing. So it turns out, Hugo Weaving,
yeah.
face extraordinaire,
Mm-hmm.
has a son who is an actor.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh no.
So
Say it ain't so.
I mean, we already have the perfect young Elrond,
Oh.
right?
Oh, I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna say that
Me too.
that the guy that the young Elrond was his son. And I was
No.
like, oh, nepotism.
No,
That
I'm mad because
would've
they
been really
didn't hire
unfortunate.
his son.
That is weird.
He's got the eyes. It's not quite as extreme, but it's there. You can see it. Is Harry Greenwood is his name?
That's a good name.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
Powerful name.
Yeah,
He
you just
would
like
be a good young Elrond, I think, personally.
look at that. Look at the two of them. It's like
I mean, to be fair, like, they could make, like, a young Elrond out of anyone if they just dress them up like Elrond
yeah. The costumes are.
and
Yeah,
lit him like Elrond and did, like, the
like the-
styling of Elrond. It's
I'm
like,
like the person who like obsessively watched the making of. That was like 2 discs, like 2 CDs, 2 DVDs per film,
Yeah.
4 hours. And I
That
watched
was-
that obsessively. And I was like obsessed with the costumes and the horse thing.
Oh.
This just doesn't have the vibe.
yeah, that's my entire problem, and I will continue talking and raging about it because it doesn't. It
The
just
vibe-
looks
the
like
vibes
every
truly are
single standard fantasy adventure movie on the planet merged into one and like pooped out the fucking blandest adventure film. Fantasy adventure film. You know?
I mean, to a certain extent, though, that's sort of funny, in my opinion, because so many fantasy novels are just trying to rip off the Lord of the Rings without
Yeah.
understanding why it works. And this is essentially, we are more directly trying to rip off Lord of the Rings while still not understanding why it works.
I would be
Put
happier.
the Lord of the Ring label on it, and we don't know how it works.
I would be happier if they did, like... I feel like they're trying to make something too similar to the films. I want them to go like the old Ralph Bakshi animated Lord of the Rings. Just do something so completely different in style.
I mean, that's like the thing. If they're like
Clone
trying to replicate
Yeah, Clone Wars,
like
yeah.
the original films, they are failing miserably. If they're not trying to do that, they're also failing miserably. It's like this perfect like middle ground of we don't want to upset anyone and therefore we are upsetting everyone.
Just make a really good Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Do seasons. It was animated. It was wonderful. It added to the movies in a way that is indescribable.
Like, you could do a Lord of the Rings Clone Wars spin-off sort of thing.
Yeah, it's basically the Similarian, right? That they're filming.
I guess so, maybe?
That's disjointed history anyway. Just make it an animated series.
I mean, like, just give it some fucking personality. That's all I'm asking.
Like the Silmarillion is just a history. It's just the story of generation after generation. It's not particularly thrilling, I have to say.
No, I will freely admit I have not read through the entirety of the Silmarillion because it is boring.
Oh, it's incredible. There's so many names. And
I have read through the Lord of the Rings books on multiple occasions. I will never start the Silmarillion. I will never. It's not for me. I applaud everyone who does try to read them. I could never.
It's the kind of book that requires you to have a notepad with you to make family trees as you read. It's so confusing.
Sorry, this is just vaguely reminding me of Clockwork Orange, which is a weird tangent. But you know, there was a famous film, Stanley Kubrick, Clockwork Orange, but it was a book, which I have, and I've read. Yeah. It's a short book, but it's written in a made-up language.
What?
Which is mostly English, but enough not English to require a glossary to read.
Awful.
Why would anyone read that? How did that
Clockwork Orange
become popular?
Oh, I'm pretty sure I read that book, and I don't remember that.
Really? You don't remember Drood and Maloko and...
I mean...
Shall I get the book and look at
the
the
glossary? If I don't understand something in an English book, I just accept that I don't know what it is and move on.
It's sort of... it's sort of like weird hybrid sort of like Cockney slang and Russian. It's like a weird... I don't know exactly how it was constructed, but... You know, you get little bits and pieces of that in like 1984 with Newspeak, but it's just on another level with Clockwork Orange. The actual like first-person account of the entire story is 10% of the words are made up. So...
I mean, to be fair, 100% of words are made up, but...
yes, made up by the author. So we have...
and now I'm reminded. So, Princess Bride, most people are familiar with the movie. It was also a book, but the book was written... The book is written with the voice of, like, the writer of the book is sort of rewriting a old story that they remember one of their relatives reading to them. And one of the chapters starts with, in this chapter of the book, there was a detailed history of Sir Humperdinck's royal lineage, but it's really boring, so I'm leaving it out.
Good. That's how you do it.
And
I
it's
feel
just
like
kind of like, okay, you didn't have to do this because this isn't like based. The book isn't actually based on anything. It's just that's the premise of the narrator here.
yeah.
But also, it's just really funny that they went out of their way to say, like, yeah, this thing where we talk about lineages of kings and whatnot, that's boring. I'm leaving that out.
I feel like, you know, a lot of people talk about the unreliable narrator in stories. I feel like just the bored narrator doesn't get used enough. Like, if you're writing a story from the point of view of a person, do consider what the person is going to be bothered to tell you.
Yeah.
You know, you could leave things out for, you know, dramatic tension or to make things ambiguous or whatever, but also just because that person wasn't interested in that thing, so they just didn't tell you.
Okay,
Speaking of like,
I revamped my floating city character a bit.
Ooh.
ooh,
Still messy, but
Yes, we have a worried highwayman. He's anxious and doesn't know how to actually highway. Is that the verb?
Yeah, sure.
Marvelous. We have cute person in hat.
Ethan Witch.
It's a witch. Yeah. And
Oh, who's this fella?
He's the worried highwayman. He's very certain they are highwaymen. Don't worry about it. They can do this.
they know
They're
what
so
they're doing.
worried. I'm sorry, it's a lot of work for me to zoom out on iPad.
that's
That's why.
something. Might have accidentally done something. I don't know.
Oh no.
Well, I was trying to get my clip studio thingy in the canvas, but apparently
Yeah, it's not happy with imported files.
You
Yeah,
could put it in
Discord.
Discord and then I could put it on a canvas.
I tried with import file, but it didn't do.
I usually just drag, but I think it depends on the format.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in Discord.
Oh, Dark. Dark has apparently read Clockwork Orange. And read it waiting for a plane.
Light reading.
Or pre-flight reading. It's a short book. Oh, the Echo Fairy's back. Inexplicably.
Curse you, Echo Fairy.
I put it
Curse
in
you.
chat.
Aha! Here we go.
Ooh,
Ooh, indeed.
super cool.
Let me save that there. And then ooh. Yep. Oh, I don't know why it turned out lighter, but there we go. But yeah, here's the original. It's very cool. They got a cool spike on that arm.
Full oops art.
That is the appropriate expletive, Christy.
Just holy fuck.
Yeah, cool stuff. So we made cool sky pirates and bird friends and compasses, compi. I'm not gonna say that again. Witches and wine aunts, cats and clowns and chonk lizards.
The off-brand Dungeons and Dragons.
Witches and wine aunts. Now, if that isn't a solo TTRPG, I don't know what is. And also Abliums and janitors, and that's and also doors and admin.
The scariest invention. Admin.
Yes.
Admin.
The worst boss fight in the entire game, the admin.
It goes on for so long. There are so many phases. There are sub phases. Yee. And with that, I think that's a good time to call it an evening. Thank you everyone for coming along.
Yeah, happy being here.
Yee. I'll be back Tuesday with more Neo. Hurrah, hurrah. And back on Sunday with more Project Via, where we will chat about quests.
Yes, quest.
Which we will have all definitely thought about and
Definitely.
have detailed notes and storyboards.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Always.
Yee.
And another 2-hour lecture on Lord of the Rings.
Absolutely, yes. They will have released another trailer at that point, and they will focus on the shoes, which we will complain about, because
Yes.
the buckles are not as ornate as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to mention
rubber soles or some shit.
I was going to point out that in that picture of Slim Shady, that the metal that they're wearing around them is like tarnished, and that doesn't seem right for an elf. But whatever.
I mean, just
Anyway.
in general, he looks like he's wearing a tablecloth again.
He does.
I don't think he's an elf, though.
Is he not an elf?
No.
I think he's like, what's the fucking word? Like Maiar or something like that?
Oh, okay, we're going in that territory. He's Mayan.
Yeah, Mayan. He's
okay,
one of the Mayan.
It's portended the end of the world.
Talking to put like a real.
Yeah. It's just all these fantasy races, and then the Mayans are also there. Why? I don't know. If Dan Brown can do it.
But either way, yeah,
Monster
it
Smith?
doesn't look right. Anyway, that's enough of that. We should leave.
Yes. End of stream. Thank you for coming along. Have a grand old time, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.